Okay.
All right. And Brandy, if you want to at least give an overview of the competition and things like that, then we'll jump right into the demonstration and we'll see what questions John has and Sally and the whole crew.
Okay, it sounds great. Well, good morning. First of all, I just want to welcome you here this morning, and I just want to thank you also for volunteering your time to be a part of this program and work with judging these student projects. We're really excited about this, OSU being able to host and kind of contribute to the EDD showcase and have a state competition. Just kind of a quick introduction on who I am and what we do here at Oklahoma State University and what our affiliation with Project Lead the Way is. My name is Brandy Mays, and I work with the OSU College of Engineering, Architecture, and Technology Professional Development Department. And we serve as the outreach arm for the College of Engineering, which kind of encompasses any continuing education or professional development classes, seminars, or outreach programs to the college, also industry, and educational entities as needed. And that includes our affiliation with Project Lead the Way. If you're unfamiliar with Project Lead the Way, there's a lot of information out there on pltew.org that you can find out. But they have several pathways, and one of them is the engineering pathway, which has a lot of great curriculum for our students. And then what we do here with professional development is run the professional development teachers training through our department and have so since 2005. I personally have been involved with the program since 2010, and I feel like we've seen a lot of growth in the last 5 years within regards to Oklahoma as a state, getting the curriculum in the schools, as well as our professional development side and growing our teacher training and making it worthwhile and being a university that has a good reputation, and we're excited about that. So to increase that reputation, and we thought it would be a great idea to host and hold the engineering capstone competition here at Oklahoma State University with the showcase here at the Alumni Center in Stillwater, Oklahoma. But also, Oklahoma has had a state competition in the past, but it's kind of been ran through the tech centers here across Oklahoma, and it's kind of been intermittent in how it's ran and who's involved. And so with us being the engineering affiliate, we kind of wanted to take that over and utilize this opportunity to really provide a great competition statewide, allow it to be where it wasn't ran through any tech center, since some of the schools and some of the projects would be coming from those tech centers, make it a non-prejudice type competition. And now that the innovation portal has been able to be implemented with Project Lead the Way and used for these competitions, we're able to do it, hold a competition in that fashion, and we're really excited about it. It's kind of our inaugural competition, and currently we have 31 submissions, which I feel is an awesome number for our first year going through the innovation portal. And we're planning on the submissions closing tomorrow, Friday the 15th of May, at 9:00 p.m. And so we know that there will be students that will wait till last minute and to get their submissions in. So we're looking at possibly having even more than 31 submissions. So that's a great number, and we're really excited about that. We're hoping to have each project scored at least 3 times, but will kind of depend on how many judges we ultimately have with the project. The judging window will be open Monday, May 18th, and that'll allow Mark and I to get the submissions kind of distributed out to the judges, but also Mark has told me, there's some of those circumstances that a student's going to potentially or possibly have an issue with getting a submission in, and we might want to accept any of those last-minute submissions that might come in over the weekend and want to get them in on Monday and want to make sure that they're distributed as needed as well. And then at that point, I think it's kind of in my again, May 18th through May 30th will be kind of the judges' time frame, and then at that point we will start planning and getting all the logistics settled for the actual EDD showcase, which will be here in Stillwater at the Alumni Center, and it's something that we are inviting each of you to come to, and excited for that. But not only will you be able to see the top 3 teams that are going to be presenting, but also we're going to invite several other teams that meet a certain rubric score to the showcase to be able to, showcase their project around the room, and so that way any judges that come can see several of the different projects, because you might have only seen 3 or 4 of them while judging. This will give you that opportunity, but also Mark is going to also make it an opportunity for all the judges to see the top 5 teams, so that way everyone gets to see some real good projects if maybe you didn't have a project or a couple of projects that weren't as good, since there's going to be quite the variation. And I'll be sending out final logistics on that showcase to each of you and to several other people regarding the showcase. Well, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mark Schroll, who works with the PLTW in the national office in Indianapolis. He is an expert with running the Innovation Portal and setting up these state competitions, and I have relied on him to help me through this process since I'm in a learning stage as well. And he will now kind of take over and go through the portal and explain how the process design rubric works and all the judging, the way it kind of flows. So with that, Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Brandy, very much. Okay, so the kind of jump over to the PowerPoint here. The agenda I've kind of put in place is kind of in front of you at the moment. We just wanted to give a visual, if you would, of this is very analogous to being asked to judge a science fair, except that it's kind of online. The training session is the part where if we were showing up at a school gymnasium, you would be handed a clipboard and explained, where to find how to access or find the portfolios you've been assigned to. So we're going to show you how to do that with the system today, and how to get your Innovation Portal account connected to the competition if you haven't done that. And then just model what the interface looks like. And as Brandy said, on Monday, we will push the magic button in the background, which will randomly distribute all the portfolios to all of the judges. And then Monday, after that happens, at your leisure, that's one of the nice things about grading on an online system. At your leisure over the next couple of weeks, you can open up the portfolios assigned to you, score a portion of it. If you get called away, you can shut your computer down, and as soon as you come back, you can, if you left in the middle of typing the word "and," you can finish that and keep going from where you are. You can go back and forth and look at everything you're doing and get it, your grades and your scores and any comments you choose to make in place, and then submit them all to Brandy in your own time frame, which is really kind of nice. So with the 8 kind of things I have planned for you in mind, I'm going to jump forward and just show this portion. If you've done this already, this will just be a quick review, but the first thing we have to do is essentially another visual, I guess, would be to set up buckets. The competition where all the portfolios will be submitted to is kind of like Brandy's large competition bucket, and your individual Innovation Portal account is kind of like your small bucket. We just have to get them connected to the competition as a judge. So to do that, all you have to do is create an account, and if you go to www.innovationportal.org and click on the register button, the Air Force Academy, I don't know why they timed it, but one of the instructors there told me that it took them an average of 3 minutes and 26 seconds to create an account. Why we needed to know that, I don't know, but it shows that they are amazingly efficient at the Air Force Academy. But to register an account, you just create one. It will send you an email. The email, by the way, is worth highlighting here. The email that you enter, many people have sometimes up to 6 or 7 different emails that they use. Whatever email you use to create the Innovation Portal account, that's going to be important to Brandy and the competition, because that's how we link individual accounts together through that particular email address. So take note of whichever one you use. When you enter an email address, when you register, the system will then send you an email to that address where you can prove that you're not a robot. It's very common on the internet to create accounts this way. You click a link and then enter whatever password you'd like to use, and then your account is set up. Once you've done that, that's step 2 there. Oops, I'm sorry. Step 2 there. That once you've created your account and you're successfully logged in, then send Brandy a short email saying, "Hey, Brandy, here's the email that I used to create my account. Please invite me as a judge." Brandy will take and in her administrative account on the innovation portal that we've created for her, she will insert, copy and paste that email into the invitation, and you'll receive a second email, this time from the innovation portal again, that will say, "You've been invited to be a judge. Would you like to accept or decline?" Once you push accept, it gives you a confirmation message saying, "Hey, you're connected as a judge," and then that's all there is to connecting the empty buckets, if you would, and getting your account connected and things as the students are submitting portfolios. What that looks like in the background, I wanted to offer this kind of animation. This animation kind of shows you, I'm going to show you this first and then show you the interface of how you access those things. There's the students over on the, depicted over on the left, and they've all created portfolios. They are using the same interface. You'll see it exactly as they've created it. The system creates an entire copy of their portfolio. If they've inserted a video, it makes a copy of that link, the documents that they've added, the text, word for word. And another important piece of information for judges is the rubric that they see, that I'll be showing you in a second, is word for word the same thing that they've had since day one. So like all good rubrics, we show the students what they're getting graded on first, right up front, day one, and then we guide them through that process, and then that's the same rubric that the judges will be using. So they've been building these portfolios. What they've done to date is they've registered for the competition. So Brandy has a list of all the students who are interested in the competition. You click the register, sign me up kind of thing. There's no obligation. It just gives Brandy some indication of who's interested in the competition, and then an email list of the students so she can update them on things that happen with the competition. Then they've been building their portfolios, and then by this evening at 9 p.m. is the deadline. They will have submitted their portfolios, and it looks something like this. The students get the portfolio exactly as they want it. When they push submit, like I mentioned before, the system makes a copy of the portfolio as it existed at that moment. They can continue working on the project and the portfolio for as long as they want. We never touch the original, but the competition is analogous to copying it on a photocopy machine and throwing it in the mail. And then by hopefully 9 o'clock tonight and this weekend, all of the portfolios and all the submissions will be into Brandy's bucket, if you will. And there you all are over on the right-hand side. Your bucket right now, depicted with the blue circle and the trophy, is empty. You could go and access it now, but it would just say there's no portfolios there yet. When Brandy has all those components in place, she's going to click the algorithm in the back saying something on the order of, "I want each portfolio graded 2 or 3 times, or exactly 3 times, and for none of my judges to have to see the same portfolio twice." And as soon as she does that, the algorithm in the back does something like this. It just disseminates all the portfolios. So the other pertinent piece of information is you won't be, even though there's more than 30 submissions already, you'll only be seeing the ones assigned to you as you access your account. And then as you open the portfolios, there's a couple of ways to consider grading. One is you can grade one and then click the submit button, which I'll show you, which submits it. Brandy will be able to see the score. It will come in, and then if another judge is grading that same portfolio, it'll average the scores, and then like a constantly updated spreadsheet, she'll be able to see the higher scores rise to the top, if you would, and the lower scores again then all the way down. You can grade that way, or you can grade one but not submit it, and then some judges prefer to do that and then look at the next portfolio, because you may want to come back to the first one, because there was in the act of grading the first one, there was something that informed the second one, that go back and forth. So you can get all 3 of the sets of scores the way you want them before you turn any of them in. That's also very common for judges to do, and then just come back and submit them at the end of your time frame. How you grade is meant to be as totally open on your end as you'd like it to be. So when you submit those scores, as I said, once they're submitted to Brandy, they aren't taken away from you. They're just not, you're not able to edit them anymore. So if I were to submit, if I was one of those judges and I submitted one of the portfolios, there is a screen that comes up and says, well, the competition administrator will now be able to see the scores, but you keep a copy and they keep a copy, but you can no longer edit. So are you sure you want to submit? And if you want to say no at that point and go back and keep it very fluid, you certainly can, right up until the end of the judging window. So that's kind of what the system looks like on the back end. Again, the students are doing, the point was the students have all the resources I'm about to show you and have had them in front of them since they created their Innovation Portal accounts. The students create a portfolio. They can share that with their project partners in the same room or across the country. It doesn't matter. I can work on, if we were partners, I could work on one portion. You could work on another. You can have as many project partners as you want. They were able to share their portfolio with the teachers, and the teachers could use the same rubric and the same system I'm about to show you throughout the course of the project to give feedback. And they can also connect with project partners and subject matter experts and share their portfolio that way and receive feedback. So the whole point was to use the rubric and build towards the best possible submission relative to the rubric. And then when they were all set and ready, they could enter one competition, or if they qualified for multiple competitions, they could do that as well. As an example, there are, there actually may be some students from Oklahoma who did this. There were two competitions. There was an international competition hosted by the Conrad Foundation that used this system, same rubric and everything. Some of the students may have already entered that, but they're going to take the same work and enter it in this competition as well, because the rubric allows that kind of structure. And then inside the system, they can create as many portfolios for as many courses as they want and keep them forever. So that's kind of the background of what the system was designed to do. This last slide in the PowerPoint, I wanted you also, some judges prefer to, I'm going to show you that we have the scoring sheet and the rubric and the work all available to you on your computer screen, but that's a lot of screen real estate. So some judges prefer to have like a printed copy of the, say, the rubric, and then just use the computer to access the student work, and that's possible too. So we will be sending you and making available to you these three pieces of documentation. There's a step-by-step guide of what I'm about to show you. There's some reflective questions from the Innovation Portal based on the rubric, kind of a checklist for the student. They literally start the phrase with, did you offer the reviewers of the portfolio these things? And so we will send you a PDF copy of that. You can have that sitting on your desk. And then also finally the absolute complete rubric, which is seemingly kind of long, but there are 0 through 5 score descriptors for each of the elements, and they're written out piece for piece. And but the difference between a 5, the National Science Foundation rubric masters, if you would, and college professors who got together for the last 3 years and put this together. The idea of the rubric was the difference between a 0 and a 1 is the same difference between a 1 and a 2 and a 2 and a 3 and on down the line. So some of the, even though the wording is long, there is repetitiveness in the different scores. They just become more refined as the scores get higher. So as I jump over to the Innovation Portal and show you what that looks like, I'm gonna pause for a minute and see if that generated any questions.
I think we're good. This is John.
Okay, John, thank you. All right. So when you come to the Innovation Portal, I'm going to jump to the main page of it. This I'm already logged in. I'll just log out just to show you what it looks like and show you how to access the portfolios and kind of the score sheets and the whole bit. So when you come to the Innovation Portal, you log in. If you've used the Remember Me button, it should pre-enter the information for you, and you can log in, or just use either your email or the username you created will work fine for the login, and then the password that you created. So we'll log in here, and then the system will jump to this section right here. And this is of special note. This is actually not where we need to be. The default on the Innovation Portal, there is no teacher account or judge's account or student account. They're just an account, because in our fact-finding mission of what this system needed to do, we found out that in many cases users play different roles. They might play all of those. So what it defaults to is this little icon here that is all of the portfolios that you have created. Now, if you're a judge coming to this for the first time, and that's generally the case, they'll just say there are no portfolios that you've created. You can create one if you want to have that experience and test out the system, not a problem. But where we need to go for judging is actually down here to the word opportunities. So I'm going to click on that. And as I go to opportunities, I would like to draw your attention to this filter right here. Currently, and we're looking right at the Oklahoma competition. Currently, the Oklahoma competition is in play, or it's available for students to submit their work to. This is not where it will be on Monday. On Monday, it will be here in past. So this is the most one of the things I'll work with the designers of the innovation portal. This is not very intuitive, but as soon as that clock ticks and says, okay, the time for submission has passed, it jumps into this realm over here, and these are all the competitions that have taken place this year. This is the international competition I mentioned before. The Illinois one is just a few days ahead of the Oklahoma one, so the judges are doing what you're doing now. Kansas City ended a week before that, but the Oklahoma one will exist here in the past section. Once you come to the past section, I'm going to just make an assumption here. If you'll picture this competition NSF Prime Scoring Workshop that says Oklahoma, you click on the competition. And because you're a judge, you will get this, this bar right in front that says View the Competition Details. And the word we're after here is Reviews. And because Brandy connected you to the competition, the Oklahoma competition, and then distributed the portfolios, when I click Reviews, the system knows who I am. It says, there I am, and I know in this case I have 48 reviews to do. You'll have 3 or 4. It will just list, these are the ones that have been assigned to you. I'd like to draw your attention to this word right here, complete, and I'll roll down until there's one that's active. This is just an indicator to you as a judge that the review that I was asked to do on this particular portfolio called Lawnmower Kickstarter means I finished it, and this is just an indicator to say you've already submitted this one. So one way to know that you're done, if these were my portfolios, is to kind of look here and say if they all say complete, I know that the system has been submitted and that Brandy can see them. So let's take a look at one that says active. We'll go down here to the zero turn lawn mowing divots project. Okay, so this is still active, so I'm going to click on that title, and it takes me to the student's portfolio. If you'll picture somebody putting a 3-ring binder in front of you with little tabs sticking out the right-hand side, that's what is depicted here. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see that as I mouse over each of these element letters that correspond to the rubric, these are the little tabs sticking out the side. This is the same interface that the students were able to edit and put pictures on. The portfolio defaults to the cover page. I'll hover over that. There's nothing to grade here. This is where students typically put pictures of themselves or the school they came from or some background about why they chose the project they did, and you can certainly review that information, but there's no score sheet to access here. The first place that a score sheet exists is on element A, and I'm going to click on that just to jump to it, and you can see that that tab stays blue. Another indicator that lets you know that you're there is that it writes the title of the rubric element right on the page, and then this is, as I'm using a wheel mouse here, as I scroll down you can see what the artifacts that the students submitted for this. For one of the things I mentioned before is that we have put the rubric and the scoring sheet all on the same page, and I'm going to show you how we've done that. The students can see, this is the part they see as well. As I kind of just mouse over but don't click letter A here, what jumps up is the title of the rubric. There's a lot in this panel actually. The title of the rubric, the actual rubric, the language of the rubric from the NSF right here, and it defaults to the highest score, which is a 5. If you want to see what a 4 looks like, and again the stair step going down kind of case, there'll be some repetitiveness and becomes less and less refined as you get down to a score of 0, and 0 is a score. If this is if there's no indication that anything is here, you can give it a 0. So this is the language of the rubric. The students have also had access to something I mentioned before, the kind of Socratic questions. And you can access them here as a judge as well. Did you offer the reviewers of this portfolio? And there's a slide down menu here. Clear and concise problem statement, cause and effect phrasing. Is the evidence that you submitted timely? In other words, if it's about a current issue, is the evidence from the 1950s? How do we know that that's still supporting of the problem statement? So students were told that short of a checklist, this is kind of what you're aiming for. The better that you do these attributes, the closer and closer you are getting to that score of 5. This isn't actually choosing a score. This is just choosing to see the different word phrasings down here and all of the reviewer questions. So both these review questions and one way to access the rubric here, I'll show you another in a second, are useful as a judge. One more thing I would like to show you as a judge is that part of the NSF grant was over the last 3.5 years. We had, with student permission, we have pulled portfolios from the high school and collegiate level, even some junior highs in cases, redacted all the names and schools, put them in front of reviewers who use the rubric to score these things for all of the statistical inter-rater reliability kind of things. And when dozens of people agree that this is what a 3 looks like, we were allowed to take those samples and put them online, both as a teaching tool for the instructors, as examples for students, and they're very useful for judges sometimes just to see what 3s look like and things like that. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm going to show you one way to access that. I'm going to click on a 3 here. And again, the students had access to this as well. If we had an example that you could look at, it's down here, scored element examples. If there isn't one, it'll just say we don't have an example for that. There's only a few cases where we don't have an example. I'm going to click on this, but it's not going to take me away from the portfolio. It's just going to open a new tab. So I'm going to click on that, and it will download the example for you to look at. I just want to show you this. You're not required to use these, but we do want to highlight them for judges to show that they're available as a resource. In this case, this was taken when a different logo, but the rubric was exactly the same. This gives a summary of what a group of educators had looked at the sample that's beneath here. It says this would have received a score of 3. This is why. This is where it fits in the process. Here's the entire rubric for this element A. There's the 3 right there. And then here's what the students had submitted for 3 before. And to give context to this example that I'm offering you, in this case, it was kind of a cool project. I didn't know this either, but if you live in the northern climates, the LEDs that we put, LED bulbs that we put in stoplights are actually causing an issue. They are meant to save energy, and they do. Electrical energy, they're cheaper to run and they last longer, but they actually end up costing municipalities more money in the long run because of a really interesting issue that came up. The incandescent bulbs that were in there before would produce enough residual heat to keep any sleet and snow from accumulating on the lens. Well, because LEDs produce almost no heat, there's nothing to stop that snow and ice from accumulating. So these students found accident reports that they submitted here. Again, this is from 2010, 2009. So they talked about this issue around the country, ABC News report of this happening. They submitted excerpts from conversations with traffic engineers of the one where we've tried 2 products so far and nothing seems to work yet. So it sounds like if you can solve this problem, there's a house in Malibu for you. And then on down, and I think the last part, I like this one, they had a picture of what it looks like. So this is what people were facing and caused accidents. So the municipalities were spending great deals of money of sending trucks out just to clean these lenses. It's not that the lights weren't working, it's just that the accumulation was in the way. So this is what a 3 looked like relative to the rubric to all of those judges. So I just wanted to show you that. It's a lot of information. I'm going to close this now and it'll jump me back to the portfolio. And so I wanted to show you how you access, one way to access the rubric identifiers, the Socratic questions that the students were given, and then it may possibly scored elements to look at. So that's how you look at the rubric online, or as I mentioned before, you can print it out and have it on your desk. Now on to the scoring sheet. So we're on element A. The scoring sheet is actually down here under this little pen quill. I'm going to click on it, and it opens a panel on top of the student work. Again, it was an exercise in screen real estate, but I'm going to scroll my mouse wheel here, and the student work will roll up and down behind it. If that's in the way, you can always close the scoring sheet and then read and then open the scoring sheet again. And then in this scoring sheet, there's a couple things. It defaults to a question mark, meaning you haven't scored it yet. If we looked at the rubric and said, so far we think this is a 2, we can do a couple things. We can go back up here and look at the rubric this way, or we can push this little plus button and it puts a little floating rubric on the screen so we can see the language of the rubric again. And a special note to judges, the NSF scoring rubric specialist said make sure that everybody understands that this is a best fit case, meaning if 2 best describes it, it may not be 100% of what was required for a 2, but if mostly a 2 best describes it, it's better than a 1. Certainly contains all those components, but it doesn't quite contain everything of a 3, then a 2 it is. And so once you've zeroed in on the best fit, over here is where we've chosen that already, gave it a 2. If you'd like to offer comments, I will show off my amazing typing skills right here. There we go. And I'm doing this for a purpose, so you can see it at the end. You can add comments there. And earlier I mentioned if I needed to walk away at the moment, there's no save button. It's been saving every few microseconds. So if I just logged off right now and then logged back in, I could start right over with where I left off. But this is really how we just scored A. I know that I've been rather meticulous about showing you how to do that, but that's it. We just scored A. We can come back and look at it. We can click on B, and I'll do that. Click on B. We take a look at what the students have submitted. We can use the resources we've done before. Just like grading any science fair and things, the first one takes longer than the second and third to get used to the system. Let's say this group, this time we think that they've done outstanding work at reviewing all prior attempts at the solution and analyzing why they haven't exactly solved the problem. And we'll type a comment here. And I just wanted to show you that again, the comments are not required, but you can add them there. And then you just walk on down the line and grade each of those parts. I would like to make a special note about elements M and N. I'm going to click on those. It says no content available, but in the rubric this is a holistic look at. So you'll only see artifacts from the students from elements A through L. L is the last part where they reflect back on the project. M and N are about how they considered their audience and writing like an engineer. So if you put a graph up there, did you explain the graph? If you put an acronym, did you explain the acronym? Did you consider the audience? How well did you consider the audience as you went? So these are holistic grades, but to put them in this system, we should have a message to judges saying there's nothing available for you to look at, but there is a score required. And if you think that their ability to their presentation of the project portfolio, how they put it together, their evidence was clear, somebody could pick this up and run with it again. If you think they did a great job, you can give them a 5. Again, any comments down here, and you can do that again for element N. So at that point, when you've got them grading all those, I'm going to show you we're going to draw your attention to complete review up here. And when you hit complete review, it's a little bit like buying on Amazon or online. It gives you a summary it shows you a summary saying, is this the way you want it to look before you submit it? And here you can see in element A, the gibberish I typed, but your comments, no matter how long, will be shown here. The score was a 2, was a 4, and so it gives you a quick overview of what you just did. And if you're comfortable with that, we'll come down to the bottom. You can do one of 2 things. At this point, it's all saved, but we haven't submitted it to Brandy yet. If you'd like, you can just go on to the next portfolio and get this far with each of the portfolios assigned to you, but they haven't been submitted yet. When you come back to this kind of summary page, you open the portfolio, hit complete review. If this is how you'd like everything to look, then you say, yep, those are the grades I gave, those are the comments I wanted to give. And when you click this radial button down here, it actually offers the statement that I will be able to see this, I understand that, but I won't be able to edit it anymore. So the point of no return button, I guess. And then I'm going to hit complete review. It will ping the innovation portal, and it will throw me back to my reviews. When I go back down to opportunities and to past, and it would be the Oklahoma competition in our example, we'll go back down and look at the lawnmower divot review, And again, you only have 3 or 4 to look at. But where's my lawnmower? There we go. And then you can see that it has now turned from active to complete. And if this were Brandy's competition, your scores would have shown up on her screen. And then she will have an indication if you were assigned 3 portfolios. It'll show her a fraction that Mark Schroll has completed 1 out of the 3 projects assigned to him. And then when it says 3 out of 3, she has that indicator, and you have this indicator that everything's complete. Again, if I needed to, as I went down here to access the clean water portfolio, if I wanted to refer to what I might have said, even there's a comment I wanted to copy and use again in the clean water one, I could copy and paste it and just go back in and look at it. I'm going to do that now. Just jump back in, go to review summary, and you'll see that everything is there for me to copy and paste, but at the bottom I can't submit it again. So I wanted to show you how we've set up the system to try to support judging. I wanted to show you how to access the rubric. If we were handing you the clipboard at the science fair, here's your clipboard, here's the rubric, here's the explanation of the rubric, and this is how you find your portfolio. So how to access your portfolios, how to access the rubric, and how to access and submit the scoring sheet were all the main focus of this training. So let me jump back to the PowerPoint, and I want to see if any portion of this or any part of that example you'd like me to reiterate, or if it generated any questions about what we should do.
Okay, I've got one question. In terms of viewing the entire report, when I click on the lettered sections, they're going to go to a place in the document is what it looked like when I was playing with some of the examples. But I do have the entire report at any time.
Yes, sir.
Is that not correct?
I see. So let me see if I understand you correctly. I'm going to try to even do that on the screen right now. I'm going to jump back to reviews. Should I go back to the lawnmower divot one?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Sure.
Or anyone.
Anyone, okay. We'll go to check engine light then. When I open check engine light, it defaults, like I said, yes, you will always have access to see the student work as it was.
Right, but when I click, for example, D, it's going to go to a marker in the document, I assume.
Yes, and this is.
But I have, and everything will be identified by element D, element E, whatever.
Yes.
Or do students have an option on how they name their sections?
Oh, I see. I apologize. No. Excellent question. No, the structure of the innovation portal, it was one of the goals of the innovation portal was to create a system that would allow large-scale scoring and comparing and contrasting portfolios from anywhere at any grade level, that kind of thing. So in very much the same way as the science fair, the hypothesis goes up in the left-hand corner, the control group in the center, and all those things. Every student sees every student sees A through N. They see the rubric as it is, and they know that relative to showing telling the story of how you came up with a concept generation and how you're going to attack the specific design requirements that you have identified. This is where that piece of information goes for the judges. Because when we talked to people before, submitting a portfolio with your best work became a nightmare for judges. Where do I find what I'm looking for? So the students, every portfolio you have, anything to do with the use of math and science principles that they use to help them make decisions, or that they used in the process of their design. This is where you document that work, and then these are the questions you answer about that. So each portfolio will be structured exactly the same.
So if I continue down with the slider bar on the right, will I reach element F, or is element F a separate document, if you will?
It is a separate document. Excellent question. Yes, this is so as E is highlighted here. I'll even do that. As I roll down, this is what the students submitted for element E. And then to get to F, I would have to actually click that little tab, if you would, and that would open the next document. So you are absolutely correct in that essentially each letter is its own web page, the collection of which together in this format is their portfolio.
So from a judging standpoint, if there is text in element F that really would have applied to element E, are we to consider it, or basically stay with the element E section as identified by the submitter solely as the basis for determining the score for E? I understand M and N would be different.
If there is a black belt in judging, you just earned it. That was an excellent question. The answer, the intent is to stick, because the students were given this structure up front, the intent is to stick with the rubric as it is. If they don't mention it in that section, even if it exists somewhere else, the score for that section should apply. However, I will offer that students do sometimes make reference. They say, so here's a link back to element C, or they copy if they were referring to a particular design requirement, they will copy it out and paste it back in there if it's pertinent. So if they do that, then you can consider that as being part of their submission for that section. But it is very much sequential kind of thing. If it isn't in F, if they submitted nothing in F, but there is evidence somewhere else, well, in that section they've earned a 0.
Okay. So when we do the overalls, the fact that it's somewhat repetitive across elements, or they reuse the same text, that really is a consequence of how they had to submit it and what they were instructed, as opposed to how they constructed the overall report.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Excellent observation. The overall goal is to try to make to level the playing field as much as possible with the same instructions, so that the judges are comparing apples to apples. So that's what the tab system relative to the rubric was. Like I said, the design requirement that they wanted. If the relative to some of the work on the AP Art Studio portfolio, if it doesn't exist in the section, it doesn't exist. Even though I know I saw it, if I were that student's teacher, I would have said, you need to submit that here and here because it's pertinent in this case.
Okay.
There isn't a whole lot of that, but in the rubric. But if and when it does happen, your question is absolutely excellent, and the students were instructed to, this is where the judges will be looking for this.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Other questions? That was an excellent one.
I think I'm okay on most of these. Just have to explore the interface just a little bit more. Played with it a little bit yesterday in terms of some of the examples that were out there.
Sure. And the scoring sheet one, what I hadn't thought about this. I can offer, and Brandy, you can make a on-the-spot decision for everybody if you'd like. What I can do is I can put a practice portfolio into the mix. It'll even say practice portfolio, and if somebody scores it and sends it in, you just ignore the score. In other words, if all of a sudden the practice portfolio came in second place, well, it's not really second place, but it allows your judges a chance to do what John just said. I don't have a chance. You'll be, once the portfolios are distributed, those are the ones you need to work with. So it might be nice to have one that you can, push the buttons and no matter what you do to it, it won't be considered, so that you can, the interface won't be an issue. Is that something that would be of value, John?
I would think so. Looking through one, especially if there's, variability in this section scoring a 5, this one scoring a 2, this one, something that has high variance, at least to me, gives me an ability to read the whole submission element by element, and then getting a feel for how the scoring applies to a cohesive document, as opposed to seeing examples of the lawnmower versus the whatever.
Got it.
and then you don't really have a sense of continuity in the submission. And again, people can use those or not as they see fit.
It's an excellent suggestion. Brandy, would that be something you'd like me to do? I can arrange that pretty easily.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be great. I have no problem with that. I think that would be a great opportunity for them.
Okay, John, thank you for the suggestion. I will make that happen. It will appear, in other words, Brandy just said you'll be assigned 3 or 4 portfolios. That's the goal. It will just appear on your list, but the title will say Practice Portfolio for Judges. It will just appear with the rest of them. There's no way to get it in early. It'll appear with the rest of them.
Yeah, and it'll have the scores for the sections and maybe some comments on why.
It will actually just be a one of the practice portfolios we took from the group that scored the NSF portfolio. So it will be one cohesive thought all the way through for you to practice on. But since it wasn't generated by this group of students, it won't count in this competition. So it will at least use all.
But will the sections be scored?
It will not, but it will offer you this. The one I have in mind. Some of the sections were used as you remember those iterated reliability issues, so or those examples. Some of the examples, maybe off the top of my head, like letter element B, F, and G, were taken from this particular portfolio. So it won't be a full cadre of scores explained. I don't have a portfolio like that from the NSF group. But the portfolio I have in mind, at least in 3 or 4 instances, the score summaries appear in the graded scored examples. So it's flux. Will that be helpful?
Yeah, I think so. If it were possible to put the entire score for that thing, or what the average was based on the samples that kind of confirm this one ranged, 90% threes, 5% fours, 5% twos. I don't know. That might help some folks.
Okay, I will see if I can dig that information.
Yeah.
Well,
and then if you've got a confidentiality issue, that you don't want to have a fully scored one that belongs to somebody that may be identifiable, I understand that as well.
Okay. I think I know that one, I will submit the practice portfolio. It won't have any of the documentation that you suggested, other than the fact that it exists online. So I can, 2, pull the documentation that does exist. That much I know is in front of me. And then 3, to try to get you the full gambit of scores, I will reach out to the NSF, the prime researcher. I worked with her on this. See if I can get that for you, because that's a really excellent thing, and I would imagine other judges would have that, would find that useful as well. So on point 3 there, point 1 and 2 are definite. Point 3, I will get to work on it and see what I can do.
Okay, well, see, I don't know how much effort it's worth, but if you can get it pretty easily, that might be something to look at.
Okay, I will give that a try. Thank you. Good suggestions. Again, your black belt, or your second dan now, or something like that.
Whatever.
All right. Well, at least they're not painting the room that you're in.
No, it's much better where I am now, because I was driven out of my office by the solvent smell. I'm
sure that was fun. Okay, so one of the things I'll do, Brandy, on the screen at the moment is your email and mine, John, and anybody else watching the video. If you have questions about accessing the portfolios or the technology or the rubric, I have lots of resources and data to help with questions like that. You can certainly submit them to me, and I will respond quickly. If you have questions about the competition itself, about the showcase, those kinds of things, or about whether your scores got back to Brandy and stuff, her email is right there. And we've been recording this session. I will turn this session into a YouTube video and share that link with Brandy, who will in turn send it back out to all the judges if you want to refer back to all this and fast forward and all those kinds of things to see a portion of it again.
Yeah, I recall from looking around the website yesterday that there was a frequently asked questions document as well, so that may be a good place.
Okay, perfect. We can do that. All right. So relative to the general look at the interface, at least I know the questions come up more when you're actually rolling up your sleeves and into it, but at its onset and relative to this training session, if do any other questions or concerns come to mind? The ones you brought up, John, are fantastic, and I will work on those.
No, I think really seeing the navigation of it and, finding that one button in the lower right-hand side was pretty useful.
Yeah. Again,
that was one I didn't see before as I looked around.
and you wouldn't have unless you had created a review. And if you're using this with your students, you can create a review, then the score sheet is connected like that. So you wouldn't see the new thing either unless you were assigned a portfolio, which you haven't been yet, or if you were using it in your class in that kind of teacher or mentor fashion with your students, where you click the review and say, I'm going to make some comments on your portfolio as it existed at this moment. So, but it is very beautiful, but it is not very intuitive. So that was the pushing the past button and the icon in the lower right that you mentioned were both something that just needed to be shown.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, Brandy, do you have any final comments for anybody watching the video or relative to the judges training?
No, I just want to thank you for your time, and like Mark mentioned, I'll be sending out those documents that was on that training PowerPoint. I'll be sending those out, and then anything else that you kind of need from me or have any questions, you can just please email me, and I will try to get you some information as quick as possible, and look forward to a great competition.
All right. Thanks, Brandy. And John, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay, you too.
Thanks, John.
Okay, we'll work with you soon.
Okay.
Bye, guys.